Hi, fifth grade. Today we're talking about survival at 40 below. When we look at our setting here, well, first of all, it's an expository text, so we're going to find out information about things, in this case, animals and how they survive in the very cold temperatures. When we look at our map right here, we can see that our setting is the Arctic National Park and Preserve. Okay, which is here, this is the state of Alaska, and it's near and this line right here is the Arctic Circle. So it's above the Arctic Circle in Alaska, very, very cold, and as far as when the winters come. And at the beginning here, we're learning about some of the different things that happen with these animals and all throughout here. So we've got the deer that has this dense fur and antlers. They're ready for the winter. They've been grazing and they've stored up fat and things like that. You've got chickadees and other types of birds that are hiding food in the cracks of trees. You've got red squirrels that are opening up different types of food. And then we start to hear about how do all the different other animals start adapting. So we have this fish, this blackfish right here, and who is, he can survive because he has the ability to preserve, he can get along with very little oxygen, but he has an unusual esophagus right about here that works like a lung, and that absorbs the air, and then he can continue to breathe through little holes, and it keeps him from dying in this very, very cold weather. And then you have this frog right here, the wood frog, and it burrows down underneath the leaves and stuff, and then its body temperature drops, and that's because it's a cold-blooded animal. And the body temperature rapidly drops, and the liver makes a lot of glucose, which is basically sugar, and it pumps it through there, and then its cells form it will be protected by ice crystals that form in the body. And once 3/4 of it is frozen, the frog basically stops breathing and its heart stops beating, but it's not dead, it's just hibernating. And it'll stay that way till spring. Then we had things like this little ground squirrel, the Arctic ground squirrel, and he makes tunnels and digs through there and continues to store up stuff. Then we have the bear. You can see him over here. He eats berries and digs up roots and things like that to help him before he hibernates. And then we have other animals they talk about. So here we have the squirrel ready to hibernate, and he has this yo-yo effect. What he does is his body is basically dropping down. His heart is just three beats per minute. He gets icy cold, looks dead, but he's not. And 3 weeks later, his heart rate increases, his body warms up, he's burning some of that fat, and then he gets his nest all set again, and then his body temperature super cools again. And then the squirrel has that up and down effect throughout the winter time. And then we have this really cool Arctic fox. And the Arctic fox is the color of snow there. It's going to help him camouflage. He keeps warm because of his winter coats that he has. He has an insulated coat underneath and then that outer coat. And he hunts prey, and then and it keeps him warm as he hunts. And the ptarmigan, in our science book, we actually have a picture of this where he camouflages. Ptarmigan is like a woodsy color in the spring and summer, and then as it goes to winter, he turns white to blend in. And as we see these type of animals, they they can they can survive because they have the insulated feet that help them to travel at night, and they also hide kind of in a burrow, if you will, of snow. If you have ever made like a igloo and you go inside, it's very warm inside there. So the more you burrow in, the better it stays for you, as far as for the bird is concerned. And then of course they eat some of the stored up of food, the small birds that they've stored up, and then they can eat that while they go through that winter time. Again, we've got the caribou with their well insulated fur, and they can detect things, and then they will eat certain things that they need. And they have liquid fat that protects their joints, and blood traveling to their hooves that turns back to the heart, and so it reduces the heat loss with that. Then we talked about more animals here. The sheep grazing on the rock crags and eating, and then it talks about as they're continuing to go through, the oxen here, again, the thick fur and the horns that help in survival. And then this interesting little creature here, these fuzzy creatures, all the insect here, the northern insects, have something called antifreeze. Antifreeze is a substance that prevents ice crystals from forming in their body. So it keeps them from freezing and dying. So they have an antifreeze in their bodies. And then you have your, it's getting back to the springtime here. So they've gone through the cycle of, okay, now they're done with this cold time, and June starts to come around, and it's nice, and they can start basically storing up and get in for 2 months. It'll just be fun until they have to go back to that hibernation and that cold weather again. Okay, so we can see the kind of that cause effect that goes on, ways that different animals protect themselves as they go through their winters, and especially when we look at the location of this being so high up towards the Arctic Circle, where it's really cold in the state of Alaska. So I hope you enjoyed the story, and good luck on your test. Make sure you use your book or your online part here to help you to go through that. Use your vocabulary, go through that on your ConnectEd site, and hopefully that will help.